Hey people, welcome to the channel, and in this case, fires across Europe. These are images from Spain. Quite terrible actually, and it's on several places, not only forests but also houses burning. And keep in mind, many of these houses, they're old. These are like stone buildings. They're pretty durable, but anything wood, it is likely to go up in flames. So there's several people injured and worse and whatnot. So it's in several parts in León, Zamora. You see what I mean? And these are like old, like country houses. You know, these are structures that are maybe several hundred years old. All of this stacking of stone like this, and sometimes it's combined with more modern stuff. You see normal bricks, but very common to see many of these houses are just stone. But if there's any wooden frame, and especially when you have vegetation that's not well controlled, it is something that will go up in flames. And of course the forest, that's the saddest part, the way I see it. You know, of course people losing their houses, but 8,000 hectares of woodland burning. They try to control it, but you see what I mean? The structure sometimes is the thing that ends up burning. So a couple things, a few points of advice in terms of preparedness for fires, wildfires that you may end up going against. Number one, have an actual plan. This seems obvious, but basically having your bug out bag, but also having an idea of where you're going if you're ordered to evacuate. We're going to my aunt's house. We're going to your parents, some brothers, some sisters, some friends. At the very least, have an idea of where you're going, how you're going to get there, and what you do once you get there. How are you going to find shelter in that place? There's also many cases in which they have assigned shelters for people that are evacuated. But even better if you have a plan so as to make sure you have these on your own before that's necessary. So bug out bags. Plan what you do when you need to evacuate. And number two is evacuating in time. It's all a matter of timing. If you don't leave when you're told to leave, there's a very good chance you will get trapped. This happens very often. There's people that just don't want to evacuate. They say, no, I lived here my entire life. I'll be buried in this place. So that's difficult. It's always life going to be more important than any physical values that you have. You know, any property that you have, all of that it's insignificant next to the value of your life and the life of your loved one. So evacuate in time, be alert so as to receive that order if you know there's something going on. Number three, wind. There's a website, it's called windy.com. It's fairly accurate. You can go down into details of where's the wind usually blowing in your area. So knowing where wind is blowing will give you a better idea of how you plan your evacuation. Do you live like it's a highway, but you have to get there, you have to go through a forested area, but there's another. So knowing where wind's going, that's crucial. The fire is going to go according to the wind. Of course, the stronger the wind, the faster the fire will spread. But knowing where the wind is going, important. Number four, preparing your home. So you see here that many of these houses are stone. That should be fairly easy to keep safe from fire. And there's been studies, there's exercises and tests done showing that even in the United States, where houses are like 95% or so made of, well, it's a wooden frame. Even then, if you have proper control of vegetation, dry leaves, if you leave everything clean, it is very unlikely that the house will burn. But what happens is that people have, you know, dry grass or plants or leaves accumulating, any of this flammable material that naturally accumulates because you're just not doing proper cleaning. It could even be like firewood that you have stocked on the side of the house. It could be toys, anything plastic, chairs, things like these. When they do the tests of shooting embers into a house and seeing where the fire starts, if there's no flammable material, the fire simply does not start. That's something you learn when watching these videos of the tests actually done by the firemen. Number five, insurance. Make sure you have your fire insurance, your house insurance, insuring the contents as well. Insurance is key, either for this or any other natural disaster or any other. It could be like theft, someone breaks into your house. Having insurance gives you a lot of peace of mind. And what's more important, when these things actually go down, you're going to be covered and you're not losing. I mean, you're losing everything in that fire, but you have some backup. You have some money to get back on your feet. Guys, if you want to learn more about survival and preparedness, that's what I've been doing here for a long time. You have the channel with a ton of information, as well as surviving the economic collapse, street survival skills, and for this sort of thing, bugging out and relocating. What you do when staying, as it says here in the cover, when staying is not an option, okay?